All right, I want to tell you guys today about East Coast Canines. My brother in Christ, Tyler Hayes, reached out to us and wanted us to share with you the resources and the services that they have at East Coast Canines. And man, it really means a lot to me to have a sponsor like this on the podcast. As a person who loves dogs, loves training dogs, dogs have been a part of my life for a long, long time. And I truly believe that there are no dumb dogs. There are just dumb people, all right? Unfortunately. Now, this is a book that Tyler has written. Tyler's the VP at East Coast Canines. It is a great resource. If you are a dog owner, this can be purchased on Amazon. It's called Fundamental Canine Obedience. I think this should be mandatory reading for every dog owner. If you're going to own a dog, that's a huge responsibility. All right, this book is laid out well, super easy to read. It's informational and applicable to every one of you guys who has a dog out there. Take that responsibility seriously and check out this resource. I think this is awesome. I'm actually in the process of reading through this right now to help me develop my dogs, who are a huge part of my life, to a higher degree. It makes the experience of owning dogs just so much better. Not only is Tyler's book a resource, but at East Coast Canines, they offer tons of services to law enforcement. They actually do law enforcement training for law enforcement canines and handlers for patrol, narcotic, and explosives detection, tracking, and other specialized areas of detection such as ignitable liquids, electronic devices, and wildlife detection. East Coast Canines also offers therapy dog training for law enforcement and personal needs. And for you guys who aren't law enforcement and you're not looking for that type of dog, but you just want to tune your dog up that's there at your house causing chaos, acting crazy, and doesn't know how to listen to anything you tell it, they offer pet dog training for those seeking a higher level of obedience and training for their personal pet dogs. This is huge, guys. Check them out. Again, Tyler is a fellow brother in Christ, East Coast Canines. You can check them out and find them at www.eastcoastcanininc.com. There will be a link in the description of this episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, I want to tell you guys about Salty Britches. I've been using this product for years, and it is an anti-chafing cream. It provides a long-lasting skin barrier that's going to keep you comfortable no matter what your activity is. Chafing really sucks. It can make your experience, whether it's ultra running, surfing, walking, hiking, you name it, chafing can make your experience miserable. Salty Britches is the best anti-chafing ointment on the market in my personal experience. You put it on one time, it lasts for a long time. You don't have to continuously reapply it. You're not going to be disappointed in this stuff if you get out there and get after it. It's been used by top performing athletes. It's been used by amputees, by surfers. It's been used by the military. This stuff has been put through the ringer. Check them out at saltybritches.com. It's an amazing product, best out there in my opinion. And it's an amazing company. The people behind the brand are good friends of mine. And I think that it's important that we support companies that share the same values as us. Salty Britches is one of those. So, again, saltybritches.com. Thank you, Salty Britches, for sponsoring this episode of the 3 of 7 podcast. Enough said. The only people who have the right to complain about podcasting stuff is our Patreon members.
Yeah.
Because they're actually the ones that pay for the podcast. Everybody else, we appreciate you tuning into the podcast. It means a tremendous amount to me that you tune in, that you listen, but our Patreon members are the reason we're able to do this. So if you're on Patreon and you have a complaint, please complain, and we will listen to you, and we will make changes based off of your complaints.
I like it.
Everybody else, hold your comments. All right, Jeff, welcome to the show, man. This is the third time you're on the show?
Yes, sir.
Good night. I don't know if any other guest has been on 3 times. I really don't. That may be a first. Well, there's a reason this is the third time you're on the show. It's because, 1, you're a friend. 2, you're someone that I look up to. And you're a huge part of you're like a community builder, community leader within our local community. So you're a big part of my life. Although we don't hang out every day, the resources that you're providing to me and my family have been extremely valuable since we have been back here in Rome. So I respect you a lot, man. And that's the reason I want to keep having you on the show to share with our audience. You don't have a big platform. You're not trying to build that. You're not trying to do any of that, but you're living a life that, as all of our lives, it's not perfect, but you're showing up every day and you're doing good work, man.
Thanks, brother.
So this is Jeff Holloway. Among many things, he is a coach, a business owner, entrepreneur. He is a community builder. He's a husband, a father, and a Christian. And
Correct.
That's who you guys are going to get to hear from today. My friend, Jeff Holloway.
Thank you for having me. I'm pumped.
All right, I got some questions for you.
Come on.
All right. This is lightning round. Do you prioritize sleep or workout?
Sleep. But I get my workouts in. Sleep. I like sleep.
Okay, so if you get a bad night's sleep, are you still going to get your workout in?
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm still working out.
Okay. Diet or exercise?
Default exercise.
You think you can out-exercise a poor diet?
No way, but somewhere in my brain goes, well, just freaking hammer it if you screwed it up.
I'm the same way, dude. Running or lifting?
I'm prioritizing lifting. I love running. I'm much more of an endurance athlete.
So why do you prioritize lifting?
I'm not very strong, and I know that I need to be strong, and strong people are harder to kill than weak people and more useful in general. That's a Ripito quote.
Like it. Burpees or thrusters?
Definitely burpees all day long. Thrusters from a dark place.
Thrusters are miserable.
They're terrible.
Dude. You make me do thrusters with the dang barbell and no weights on it, and it's just going to destroy me.
Yeah.
95-pound thrusters, I'm wrecked for a week, dude.
It's a form of torture. I'll tell you anything if you make me do enough thrusters.
It really is a form of torture. It's the hardest workout in the gym, it's the hardest exercise in the gym, in my opinion. All right. Data or simplicity?
Simplicity. I want it simple.
You know, there's this big push in the fitness kind of realm. There's all these devices now. Data. It tracks everything that you do, man. And I'm starting to see a shift away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Even big, fitness influencer types like Nick Bear. I saw a post the other day. My friend Nick Bear, he's wearing the same watch that I wear.
Yep.
Like I have the Garmin Enduro at home, which is not the most data gathering thing. I mean, there's other devices that are specifically for gathering all this data. But I've moved away from all that personally too. Why do you say simplicity? Why do you think there's a shift away from that big push that we have seen over the last 3, 4, 5 years toward collecting all this data on your health and stats and all this crap?
You ready for my first soapbox conversation?
Yeah, send it.
So
this is lightning round, but I want to hear this.
Yes. So I think that we are way overrun with information. And we lack execution to do the things in a consistent basis to actually get some type of feedback that's long-term. So any type of adaptation that we have. For example, Zone 2. It is the rage right now. What is Zone 2? What's the benefit of Zone 2? What does the heart do at Zone 2 versus Zone 3 versus Zone 4? So you have 5 different zones that most people think that we operate in. And I was talking about to somebody yesterday is now all that data that we have. I have a Venue 2. It's a Garmin, but it's pretty low on the list. But anxiety is the number one thing that people get out of all this data, but they don't actually go and do the thing. I'd rather you train inconsistently and quote unquote wrong than do nothing at all and have only anxiety attached to every single performance that you ever do. It's a weird thing right now. And I think what you're saying is people are getting back to the basics of going, if we're going to be consistent with whatever training plan that we are doing, we're going to get results. But everybody's want this secret pill, this magic button, this perfect scenario. ChatGPT, what does Garmin say? Productive, non-productive. I said, I think we're getting away from really just executing on being consistent, talking about nutrition, sleep, wellness, mindset, all that stuff, we negate a lot of the really important things to go, well, what zone am I in? So just be close and do it anyway. But I also want you working on all that other stuff. Much longer conversation, but yes, simple.
Yeah, when you boil it down, the work is really what's making the difference. Not all that bull crap.
Yeah, and I'm a coach, and I like the data, and I'm going to look at it, and we are going to be inside the ballpark. But I think we had a shift that went too much data driven and the perfect workout plan, and there is not a perfect workout plan.
I love how culture is. I think we are on many different levels. We are arriving at we're beginning to be able to see the end state or the conclusion of some of the choices we've been making in this extremely technological age. And I think on many different topics, subjects, things, there's a large number of people who are beginning to see the end state of all of this data, of all of this technology, of all of this convenience is ultimately destruction. And people are choosing to move away from it. I'm just now seeing that shift. Like, I'm just now seeing people say, this technology and this stuff is only beneficial to us up to a certain point, and then the returns are diminishing if you just go all in. AI, for example.
Yep. I think that the information overload that we have, just because information is no longer the issue. You saying because I don't know is no longer an excuse, because you can know almost anything. It's just a weight or a burden that you put onto people to go, am I doing it right? Am I doing the right thing? Person A says X, person B says Y. Well, ChatGPT says this. And it's almost this point of just paralysis that they don't do anything, or they're going to do everything and be inconsistent with it. So I think that piece of information is now becoming more of a burden than a help. Because if it's helpful, it's great. It's aiding, it's beneficial, it's giving some direction, it's holding you accountable.
But when it's beyond what you can act upon, I see what you're saying. It just causes anxiety. So we'll take, for instance, a person that I know who has a real passion for data, Andrew Huberman.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you listen, like when you consume content, like do you consume that type of content? Because I've wondered about him specifically, because he's the big name that I know of. There are many other types like him who love data, and they're putting that information out. I don't think to make other people anxious intentionally. They're putting that information out because that's their life. Like, that's what they love to do. That's their job. But I have seen in people around me who consume content from him in particular, really all it's doing is causing anxiety in their life. I mean, have you even tried to steer away from that stuff, or do you manage that stuff well? Do you consume that type of content? Or
That's a great question. Yes, because I want to stay informed. I want to stay informed up to the point that I can help other people, and then also it aids in my own personal development. But I got to be very careful about taking in content to the point that I get any type of paralysis, or I get to the point that it starts confusing me. And for me, just kind of the way I'm wired, if I get confused, I'm going to go on a hunt. Why am I confused? What am I confused about? Why are these forces fighting each other? So I will take in content up until the point that it's useful for me and I can serve other people. At the point it goes over that, I have to shut it down. So I'll go through seasons of taking in content. And then unfortunately, I have to go through seasons where I can't listen or pay attention to anything, because it elicits something in me that I have to work through. Because here's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. If you are a master in taking in content, but won't do anything with that content, the execution piece, I'm real sensitive to execution right now, just my own personal story. If I'm faltering in the execution piece, that content means nothing.
Yeah, so you need to cut it off.
Yes. Until I am, because that, to me, it's a character thing. If I'm listening to all this stuff, but I won't do anything, and you take whatever scenario or content that we're talking about, and I'm unwilling to do the thing, then I no longer should be listening to the content. That's my own personal opinion. But if you're not going to do it, why are you paying attention to it?
And it takes constant awareness. And I think it takes also brutal honesty with yourself.
It's uncomfortable, yeah.
Yeah. All right, shifting gears a little bit. What have you found more beneficial to you personally, prayer or the study of Scripture?
Oh gosh. So the Lord's working in my heart big time in a season that just started. So then it's interesting that you're asking that question. I default to Scripture. I default to reading. I default to learning, going back to, am I doing what it says in Scripture? But I'm changing the way that I'm praying right now. And I'm seeing huge impacts to make it less transactional, because I've prayed the same way I'm 41, for 41 years. I think the Lord's really calling me, going, you pray to me in a very transactional way. Lord, be with me. Help this food nourish my body. Take care of my people. Bless. Like, these are all ask. But am I stepping back going, Lord, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And being okay with whatever comes up, but I have to be in a still and calm enough place to be able to listen. And I'm hyperactive, ADD, I struggle with paying attention, and it has transformed my prayer life. So 6 months ago, I'd say Scripture, absolutely, all the way. If we're going to be real transparent, I think recently I've really asked the Lord, I was like, does prayer even work? Like, you do what you want to do anyway. And I believe and trust that whatever you say goes. So if I'm praying about something and you already know the end result, or if I'm praying about something doesn't matter the scenario, does prayer really work? And I've had to wrestle with that. So Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And Scripture talks about that. You know, the rum guard comes up, it's like, I believe, help my unbelief. I think that was in Scripture. And the Lord's go, how about you test me in this? But you come with your prayers open-handed and not pray the way that you want to pray with an outcome that you already have in your mind, because I'm great at setting outcomes and expectations, and just release it. So I'm in a pretty deep season about what does prayer really look like if I'm praying to a God who knows more, who understands more, who sees more, who creates, versus my very small, very specific transactional prayers.
That's good, man. All right. The Patriot or Gladiator?
Oh, I love The Patriot, but Gladiator for sure.
War movies. Maybe, hopefully you've seen both of these. If you haven't, shame on you. Full Metal Jacket or Apocalypse Now?
Full Metal Jacket is 2 movies. There's the boot camp part, and then there's the second part. I love a lot about the Full Metal Jacket. I'm going to go with that one.
Westerns, Tombstone, or The Outlaw Josie Wales?
Oh, Tombstone. I really like that movie.
Now, I had to throw this one in. Last question of the lightning round.
Okay.
We're gonna lose a lot of listeners, or we're gonna keep a lot of listeners, according to how you answer this question here. Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
That's not real. It's Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we just kept a bunch. All right, you guys can continue listening now.
I thought it was the pepperoni on pizza question, because apparently that one's pretty polarizing as well.
How much do you pay attention to current events in politics? I've never asked you that question. I don't know where you are on the spectrum of any of that. I don't know how integrated and aware you are of that. So I've always wondered, we've been friends for years, but we've never talked about politics, any of that stuff. I just assumed you you're not really engaged with it. But I think that is wrong of me to assume that. So
I would say that I keep up enough with current events to know what's going on, but I don't study them. So I have a few different things that I get every day on a daily basis that will keep me up to speed on like what's happening in the world. So it's almost like a quick glimpse of what's going on financially, what's going on politically, what's going on globally, what's going on sports, because I can't handle much more of that in my mind as far as content pulling in. So I would say that I'm in tune enough with current events to know what's going on in the world. But if you were to ask me 3 questions down on a topic, I wouldn't know the answer to.
that makes sense.
Yep.
How have you seen political issues and cultural climate affect your people at the gym? Like your people that essentially are members at Rome Strength and Fitness. Like, do you see a direct correlation? Like you had the gym through COVID, you've had the gym through all these different highs and lows. Like, have you ever looked and like seen a measurable difference between what's going on in culture and how much people are invested in their health and fitness?
COVID was the big one. COVID was the only time that I saw the geopolitical landscape and what was going on in the world translate to inside the gym walls. People inside the gym they're all about talking about what's happened politically, but it doesn't really affect much. COVID was the only time that I went, oh, this is affecting the hearts, the minds, the emotional whereabouts. That was so divisive among even family members inside the gym, which camp you were in. That was a tough season. I do not ever want to do that again. Because I am very pro heart, probably to a fault. If I want to care about the person, regardless of where they stand, I don't really care necessarily where you stand on that before I take care of the person part. But that one was tough for me, for sure.
Well, I approached you about our conversation today not long ago. I said we need to do a podcast. What are you most passionate about right now? What would you want to talk about on the show specifically? And you said, let's talk about how to suffer well. And I thought, yeah, we might ought to sit down and have that conversation, because there's probably something that I'm going to be able to learn from talking about that specific topic. And we'll get into that in a minute. But the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to describe to me the war that is going on in your mind. Because basically, you've impacted my wife on a deep level by being open and honest about the war that happens in your mind on most days. And it is not something that I personally struggle with as much as you, but I think the struggle that you fight, the struggle in your mind, the struggle that I see my wife fight, I think that is, no, as a matter of fact, I know it is a much more common thing than we realize.
Yeah.
And my wife told me a story about you, a story that you told her that impacted her, about how essentially there was a day that like you won the outward battle, but you lost the internal battle. Describe to me that war that happens, man.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So I would say 41, I've battled with anxiety is probably the easiest way to put it, but battled with anxiety is this whole idea of this outward appearance. How do I show up for people versus the internal dialogue and narrative? My internal dialogue and narrative is pretty negative. So being able to battle My expectations for myself and how I show up, and we'll get to the backstory about how this has become way harder in my life recently. The narrative that I have for myself and how I show up is constantly this idea of this chip away of a narrative that's of a negative story to being able to be an encourager and a provider of hope and a champion for people is this constant tension, because the way in which I want to treat others is in just stark opposition to the way that I treat myself. Stark opposition, which gets to the point, and this is the really, really hard question, is do I believe the gospel? Do I believe that Jesus thinks the way about me that he says that he thinks about me, believes in me, calls me out? And that has been almost a lifelong battle. So this idea of this constant war, this constant narrative, this battle that I'm always having to face every day is exhausting, of course. To me, it's kind of normal, which is unfortunate. But I've gone through seasons. I would say the first season was I became a believer in college. I grew up in the church, and I would say that I was a believer, but really releasing my life and laying it down and trying to be obedient was at college. And then 2019, I read a book by Brené Brown, Daring Greatly. And that was real transformational for me to start the process of really getting behind the curtains of the way that I think and how I show up. And then my wife and I decided to adopt 4 years ago. And that has proven to be way harder than I expected. I don't know what I was expecting. Sunshine and rainbows, I think. And then that has been some transformational about introspection about how I show up. And this is probably a much longer conversation, which we'll probably have today, about how do I win that battle in my mind, but also release the expectations that I have for myself to show up, because I have really high expectations. And if you have really, really high, and I would argue unrealistic expectations, really the only thing that could come out of that is guilt and shame. So I always walk around in this guilt and shame loop pretty much all the time. It's really hard to experience freedom out of that.
Give me a tangible example of that. Like, I know it happens in many different circumstances, but give me a tangible example of what that looks like.
Well, so let's say, I mean, the most tangible example is my two little ones. So I have 4 kids, 2 biological, 2 adopted. My 2 biological are older. They're 15 and 12 now. And then my younger ones are 7 and 5. And I have an expectation. I have an expectation for how I show up for them when they're at their worst. And if I get triggered, I hate that word, but that's the only one I know to use. When I get triggered and I get frustrated, or I don't show up well, or I get caught in like my just poopy pants attitude, and I wanted to show up as a caregiver, a caretaker, a champion of their narrative, then it's just this washing of shame that comes over me. And all of it's all in my mind. Because Allison, my wife, she's like, you didn't do anything wrong. But I'll almost own every thought that I'll ever have, or any feeling, because I'm a big feeler. Like an HSP is a highly sensitive person, which I have all sorts of frustrations that I was that way when I was little. It's good now, but when I feel things, I will assume that feeling is reality, and then I'll own that reality as being true, but it was just a feeling. But I will own that like it was, that it happened.
Like it happened, yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I'll own that and then feel all the guilt and shame for it. So Satan sometimes just can have a field day with my mind. Even though the reality was like, I showed up well, I affirmed, I cared for it. So it's just how suffering for me has shown up is I'm in a season, tough season, but a season of the self-reflection of going, do I want to control everything about my life? Yes. Do I have expectations for how I'm going to show up and how events are going to go? Yes. Well, if you think that you're going to control everything, or you think that every expectation that you have is going to come to fruition, then really the only default understanding for that is you're going to be disappointed, massively so. Well, until you have a little bit of reflection on that, you're going, no wonder I'm freaking walking around beat up all the time, because I'm not perfect. And if you're taking 2 kids into your home that have pretty significant traumatic backgrounds, what did you expect? For a long time, and I'm in counseling for this now, which has been really good because I work with somebody who's awesome. I had this expectation. I jokingly say this, and that's the thing, is you talk about how important words are, but I use humor as a coping mechanism. And I'll use dark humor to like be funny about things, but really all I'm doing is trying to take the edge off of how bad things feel sometimes. And I jokingly say, I was certain I was going to heaven until I did something for the Lord, and now I'm not sure if I'm going to get in. I was like, well, that's a really dark way to think about that. But that's the way it feels, is I didn't know how hard this was going to be. So then suffering, am I suffering well? I don't know. Am I surviving? Am I doing everything I can to care for and love for the kids that are in my home? Yes. Is it really, really freaking hard? Yeah. Like we've got diagnosis and medicine and multiple schools getting kicked out. And Allison's had to like leave her job and have all sorts of aspirations. And I feel like I can't do those. And the metaphor that I have right now is I want to be storming the front lines. And the Lord's like, I've called you to peel potatoes for the army. And I'm like, I don't want to peel potatoes for the army. I want to be on the front lines. I want to storm the gates. She's like, that's not what I've called you to do. I called you to be obedient. Well, I'm being obedient. Like for the first piece is big challenging behaviors. You almost take them personally. It's like, Lord, am I in trouble? Like, did we do something wrong? Is this punitive? Like that's such a youth-centered theology. That is like navel gazing. You just staring at your belly button. And when you're in a season of suffering, all you can see is that tunnel vision of how it's affecting you. And you have a really hard time reframing, how am I showing up for them? I'm teaching my little one right now, my little 5-year-old. I call him a Sour Patch Kid. Like he's sweet as he can be until he is not. And then he wants to hurt you. And right now I'm trying to teach him. I'm like, I said, why are you strong? He said, to help other people. I said, your strength is not for you. Your strength is for other people. As a guy, I believe that. Biblical masculinity, that's a whole nother thing that I'm on right now. But you're strong for other people. But for me, oftentimes I think, just be strong enough for me. Try to survive the day. Try to survive their behavior. Try to survive. Lord's like, you're missing the blessing here, buddy. You're missing the blessing. Like, A, I'm preparing you for something great. And B, you, quote unquote, peeling potatoes is what I want you to do. Be okay with that. And it's been a hard lay down of that aspirational quality as a guy, because aspirations don't die. It's the reframe of what success looks like for me. That process has not been fun. That's all over the place. Do you have any follow-up questions right now?
It's hard, man.
Sorry.
No. So I hear you say specifically about the way your mind ticks and the battle and the war that you do have and have had in your mind internally across the board on many different scenarios. I think it plays out at work too. As a coach, it's got to play out similarly at work as a coach. And because I see you when you're coaching, like I can tell your expectations are to be perfect, because you pretty much are when you're in there coaching or when you're in there doing a workout. 0 negative comments, 0, like you're putting out like if you're in there working out with me, I know I got a dude in there that's actually going to put out and work hard and do his best while we're in there together. But I heard adjusting your expectations is important. Like, have you been able to do that?
I feel
and how do you do that?
Yeah, I feel like the Lord is prying my grip off of my life right now, is the best way to put it. I wouldn't even say that I'm adjusting expectations. I think the Lord is calling me to lay down expectations. I believe that he's calling me, my family, my kids for something so much more, and it has nothing to do with what I believe or what I expect will happen. And it is like I have this grip on my life because I felt like I was doing a pretty good job. I had everything under control. I had a plan. I was executing on the plan. Or it's like, if you, so Bill, pastor at church, he talks about if you write your story, you will always make yourself the hero. And Glenn, right before I was coming over here, he said that's a really powerful analogy. It's like if you're trying to write you into the center of the story as you are the hero, put down the pen. Because the Lord wants to be the center of the story. And right now, as I'm trying to like loosen my grip on my life, it's not even really about expectations. It's going, do I trust the Lord to take care of me? Do I? Sometimes no. Because just based on evidence. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do. Get up every day, 4 a.m., getting in the Word, getting on my face. Okay, all right. You shut the Bible. Kids wake up. Immediately I try to pick you back up. That was great for an hour and a half. But now what? So that's that adjustment of expectations. I would almost say that the Lord is prying my hands off of my life so that I truly trust him with whatever the outcome is. And if we're going to be really honest, what if I'm disappointed with what the Lord has for me? What if the thing that the Lord has for me, I straight up am a 2-year-old about it. I'm like, well, that's not good enough. I don't like that. I want that over there. Like, well, that's not your lane. It's not what I've called you to. Gifting, skills, your background, your current circumstances. But I'm a king about being able to look at X, compare myself to everybody's best, bring down anything that's positive in me, and then not take my negatives into the voting factor. So the Lord is going, do you trust me to lay down your expectations and outcome and trust me with whatever I have for you? That I'm in that season right now.
How do you balance that without becoming apathetic?
I don't have a whole lot of apathetic in me.
Okay. I'm just always interested in how it works, and maybe we don't know the answer today. Maybe we will never know the answer, but like the whole let go and let God,
yes,
mantra, like, hey, whatever. I know a lot of Christian people who go way too hard on that, and they end up fat and lazy and poor and unsuccessful.
Well, and that's right now, that's the thing that I've been wrestling for the past years, going, Lord, what do you want me to do with my aspirations? There's so many scriptures about, look at the ant. The ant doesn't worry about tomorrow, but he's freaking work his tail off today. Like if you're a sluggard and don't do your job, there's a point in scripture that talks about a man who doesn't take care of his family is worse than a non-believer. Like being able to do, if we're going to look at it honestly, do most guys actually do what they're supposed to do every day already? Just your daily task list. Are you taking care of the hearts of your kids? Taking care of the hearts of your wife? Are you doing are you putting any type of food on the table? I'm not saying that you have to be the primary breadwinner. I was married to an accountant, or I'm married to an accountant, but like she made more than me. But am I still working? Am I still going out? Am I still pushing back darkness? There's so much scripture about, Lord said, I didn't tell you ever, ever, ever to be lazy. I told you to trust me, but I do require you to get up and work. And work doesn't necessarily have to be vocational, but it's that piece of going, am I balancing aspirations with constantly striving to get my own, to make more of myself, to make more of the gym, to make more of my name, to go, Lord, I didn't call you that. I called you to work. I called you to take care of the people around you. I called you to take care of the hearts of the people around you. Are you shirking your responsibility? And I think that's the piece of let go and let God, but you start shirking your responsibilities, then they're at battles. They're just on the other end of the spectrum. So that's kind of where I'm at, is going, how do I battle aspirations versus the Lord has still called me to do a lot. And am I being responsible and faithful in doing those things too? I still have responsibilities at work. I still need to do those things. But I have this itch in me. I was like, freaking take the wall. What's the next city? I remember vividly you and I having conversation 2 or 3 years ago. And I was in an aspiration place. You remember that? What'd you tell me?
Was it specifically about
growing multiple gyms?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you asked me a very simple question. Do you think you've maximized what you've already done? I was like, probably not. We've probably doubled our gym since that conversation. And you're like, have you maximized your influence in your single town? Like, no, but a bored guy is a dangerous guy, good and bad. But a bored guy will go, well, it's kind of okay. Let's go on to the next city. Like,
man, I've been so guilty of that myself.
But you haven't taken care of what you're taking care of right now. Yeah, but that's the mundane, monotonous, everyday grind, and that's not fun.
Making those tweaks is not near as sexy as standing something up that's brand new.
Oh, I love it. I have a lot of energy to be able to start new things. Can I keep the old thing going? Well, that's not fun. Am I executing on it? Am I doing the thing today that I was supposed to do yesterday that I'm supposed to do 2 years from now? That's when people get tired and stop doing stuff. The new stuff's sexy. It gets you motivated. Motivation's dangerous because it wanes. It's a feeling. So.
I heard you say something, when I asked you that question of, well, how do you guard against apathy when, the Lord's taking you through this process and wanting you to trust him more and kind of, in a way, I don't want to sound corny, but like not cling so tightly to your expectations and the outcomes that you want. And you said you've changed your wording when you are speaking to the Lord in prayer of like, what am I supposed to do with these things that I want? Like, what am I supposed to do with these aspirations? And I think that's a critical thing that people need to listen to, because I'm so glad we went this route and talked about this, because you're not saying that I'm trying to give up on every desire that the Lord's put in my heart. He's created you uniquely, and he's given you a unique purpose, and those desires, most of them, when you're in Christ, those desires are coming from the prompting of the Holy Spirit, right? And he's leading you in these paths that he's chosen for you specifically as a member of his body. You're not telling people what it looks like to trust the Lord is to give up on all your own desires. It's seeking revelation on what is the purpose of these desires. What am I supposed to do with these things I want? What's the bigger meaning behind them? Reveal that to me and help me focus my eyes on that, right?
Oh, yeah. There's a book that I'm working through right now called Living Fearless, or Fearlessly. And it talks about the reframe of prayer. It's going, if we're praying the Lord, the way that the Lord designed us to pray is being able to pursue everything in life through a godly lens. And there's one example in the book, and there's a task force in a city that talks about how are we going to get rid of human trafficking? Do you believe that the Lord wants to get rid of human trafficking? Absolutely. So the task force goes, all right, Lord, we don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. We have the skill set. We've been in the law enforcement realm. What do we not know right now of a different way of getting rid of human trafficking? Do you not believe at that point, now we have starting to align our hearts with what the Lord wants? I was like, yeah, okay, let's start working on it. It's going, whatever the desire that I have, if I can boil it down to Is it taking care of people? Is it pursuing people's hearts? Is it maximizing impact? Is it bringing order to chaos? That's one of the things I love about the gym. It brings order to chaos. But am I praying in a way of a little bit more open-handed? But notice that I'm not working any less, but I am going to be a little bit more conscious of how am I going to be taking direction for where I go next. Joby Martin is he's an author and a pastor in Jacksonville, and he talks about pray, guess, go. Pray, take a guess, and start moving. Like, well, a lot of times we talk about waiting on the Lord, and there are certain things that you need to wait on, but then there's certain things going. Adoption, for example, is something that we prayed about, but it is biblical. You need to take care of the lost and the least. Did I know what it was going to cost? No. Not even a hint of it. But that's something the Lord's like, yes, this is a good thing. I didn't say it was going to be an easy thing. So that's the aspirational piece and how you manage that for me is it's not licensed to do less. It's almost the freedom to address things in a little bit more of a focused intent for me personally. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. What in the past, just this going back to the original question, this war in your mind that you've had to fight for so long, and what have been some of the negative side effects from that? Like, how does that show up? Like,
all right, here's an example. So if people don't do any type of self-reflection or self-work, and some people are not about it, like, oh, that's stupid. And I said, yeah, but the way that your narrative affects how you show up is worth you going back and doing some digging. So I struggled in school. I failed third grade, special ed for 4 or 5 years of elementary school, barely got out of high school. It's interesting. It's like most people don't know that if they know me now. Well, I had to be taken out because it was kind of an inclusion class because I went to a small school. So I would get pulled out of regular class and they would stop and like, Jeffrey, you got to go to special class. And I was and they had one class for everybody, regardless of your disability. And I couldn't read because I had attention issues. I had ADHD when it wasn't cool, right? So if you can't pay attention well, then you will read a sentence and you can't remember what the sentence, so you had no reading comprehension. So I couldn't read. So reading was a struggle for me. Well, the problem is I started to think I was dumb, like intellectually, like I wasn't smart. Well, what does that do? So you got two ways to go with it. And this is the thing that I have some shame over is you have I'll freaking show the world. I'll read everything. Well, that's not safe. What's the safest thing for me to do? Don't try. It's real safe not to try. I remember multiple tests that I just refused to study because it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because I get into middle school and you're like, Jeffrey, do you have your stuff? I'm like, no, just didn't do it. Well, you get a bad grade. I know, I'm dumb. Well, then when you get to be 30 and 40 years old, if you have that narrative and you haven't worked on it, then what are you going to show up in life? Well, I'm dumb. Well, then I'm probably not going to be able to figure this out. Then I'm probably not going to try.
not even worth it.
It's not worth it because when did I create that narrative? When I was 8. I'm 41. You know what I mean? People walk around, have these terrible narratives for something that happened and go, now that you're like, Jeff, you just couldn't read. Yeah. But the way that I couldn't read and the way that that presented itself started to have a little bit of a little bit of a false shift. Because what does Satan want to do? He don't want to all out lie to you. He just wants to shift it, right? So then if I can believe that I'm dumb, then the safest thing I can do is not try. So you'll pull back all the time. Well, that has been a big struggle. And it wasn't until I was 10 years ago, a friend of mine who's a therapist, she goes, do you think you're dumb? I have a master's degree. Do you think you're dumb? I got to college 4.0. I went, wait, you can actually get A's doing this stuff? Because I was in something that I was passionate about. I was like, no, I don't think I'm dumb. She said, if I hear you, and here's why words matter. If I hear you talk about yourself like you're dumb. Well, if I pay attention to the words that I use, and I can do this with other people, if you really listen to how people talk, they'll tell you way more information than what they're actually saying. And it's like that for sports, and it's like that for, and okay, so I'm going to deviate for a second. One of my biggest fears, and this is what I first got into counseling for a few months ago, is I have a fear of how impactful my narrative, because of how my narrative, and I had two wonderful parents. I'm an only child. They're married still to this day, 50 something years. They loved me well. It didn't matter. I still had a terrible narrative. Well, can I control the narrative of my two little ones so that so I can quote unquote fix them, right? I'm not fixing them. Do you know how much pressure it is to try to fix another human?
I don't, but I think I'll probably find out soon.
Yes. Well, you're not fixing them. It's not your job to fix them. Well, I put so much pressure on me to make sure that my narrative for them was they're loved, they're wanted, they have purpose, they're beautiful and dearly loved, they can do hard things. Well, when I would deviate that, because I'm a frustrated dad, then I'm like, oh, their narrative's trash now, and they're going to the garbage just because of me. So this piece of controlling somebody else's narrative, because I'm real intentional with what narratives are now, puts this tremendous amount of pressure on me. The Lord's like, that is not yours to carry. You could be a perfect father, and because we live in a fallen world, their narrative might be garbage. You could be how many people do you know did not have very good backgrounds and grew up just fine?
Pretty much everyone I served with in the SEAL teams.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And their narrative is like, no, I'm not going down that way. I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wind up different. So for me to put the pressure on myself, try to control the narrative of my kids growing up, that's where a lot of that internal battle came from, is because I'm constantly walking around with guilt and shame of not being a perfect father. I'm not a perfect father. But operationally, I try to act like one. I said, no, I'm not a perfect father. Watch my actions. Then why are you getting so upset when you fail? Because you're a human. Well, then the beating up starts again. So it's daily.
How on earth were these things revealed to you? Like what conversations? How on earth?
Yeah,
because you're talking about the first example that you gave of thinking that you're dumb, that was ingrained in you since you were a child. Mm-hmm. You're talking about decades of that narrative being ingrained in you. Mm-hmm. You're same thing with, those expectations of you have to control. You're basically the author of your children's narrative, right?
Correct.
Yep. I asked the question, how was this revealed to you?
I do a fair amount I don't journal a ton. I do journal, but it might be like 4 sentences a day. I do a lot of praying. I do a lot of paying attention to if something's negative, what's up? Where's this shame coming from? Where's this guilt coming from? Why did I freaking blow up like that? I ask a lot of questions. Last Tuesday, something was off with me. I was just kind of chippy. And I was like, what's up with you? I was like, I don't know. I'm not mad, but something's going on. And if you don't ask those questions about what is going on, you won't ever get to uncover the thing that's actually bothering you. It was a conversation. It was a memory. It was a memory 30 years ago. Okay, let's uncover that. Because the more that you can pull and draw things into the light, then they can be healed. I've heard this several times, but if you fight Satan in the dark, you're going to get your butt whipped. And I feel like so many people mentally that have demons in their mind functionally have figured out how to do life and do society okay. And it's not until you start to peel back a little bit of that do you realize there's a lot of people that struggle with demons in their minds. But if you don't do the work or scripture, talking to people that are trained, being able to dig into the really, really icky parts of going, why do I feel this way? And a lot of times with people that are real deep feelers, they own a lot of their feelings as truth. So that was me. I pretty much shouldn't trust my feelings. Feelings are warning lights. They are not absolute truths. Pay attention to feelings. They give you information. But that's where I get to, is I pay attention to the whys behind when things come up. Because if I can't draw them into the light, I've seen that they're just sick. They will come back around. They don't ever go away.
Yeah, that resonates with me a lot, man. And for me personally, it takes other people in my life. I'm not so good at paying attention to those things like in and of myself. I need to work on that because it takes other people in my life to reveal that to me. Two very recent examples. The other day, I snapped at my best friend, Chili. We were working together. I snapped at him. He said, dude, what's wrong with you? Are you stressed out? I didn't even know I was stressed. I got to thinking about it. But it took that prompting from somebody outside of my own head, just to say that. I've been kind of snippy with my wife the last couple days. And she's been like poking me about it. What's wrong with you? And my response has been for 2 days, 3 days, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't not like you.
Yeah.
Like you didn't do anything. Like, what are you talking about? I finally said something yesterday though to her. I responded to her in a way that kind of, because of her poking, I realized in that response, that's not how I talk to my wife. Like, whoa, okay. And so then I'm able to start thinking about, well, what is it? What could it possibly be? And for me, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm subconsciously stressed about the lifestyle change that I'm about to go through. I'm not even aware of that stress. It is a subconscious thing that, but there's been multiple things, multiple stories, multiple experiences in my life that have existed in that same manner, causing stress, causing shame, causing something in me that is subconscious that I don't think I would have ever uncovered or even thought about unless it was pointed out by someone around me who cares about me, loves me, and knows me, or a great counselor like Jeremy Marshall, who I want to have on the podcast one day. He's pointed out so many just little piddly ridiculous things that have impacted really the way that I'm showing up in life for a long, long time. And I didn't even realize it. Like things that have held me back from sharing or talking or just even impacting my internal dialogue about myself or my experience or my story. So for me, it takes people from the outside. I would love to be able to be introspective enough to get ahead of those things. Not saying that I'll always be able to identify those things on my own, but it's something I need to work on, of being able to get ahead of that so that I'm not pushing it to the point that it's overflowing and impacting the people around me negatively, and then I'm depending on them to point it out to me, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an interesting example that Chris, the guy that I work, my therapist guy, he talks about the magic of the central nervous system. The central nervous system is designed to keep us safe. And everybody's heard the fight, flight, or freeze response to stress. So what's interesting is that was kind of the original intent is if a bear jumps out of the woods, you're not gonna be like, that's a bear. Bears can be dangerous. I should probably run away from the bear so the bear doesn't attack me and me die. You don't have time for all that. Step next to a rattlesnake. You need to move now, right? So this whole idea of this trigger happens to a response, and then you have this belief, and from the belief you have an action, and from the action you have an outcome. It goes in that order every single time. Well, where that gets hijacked is what happens if it's a conversation? What if it happens with your spouse? We were going from a good day to somebody cuts you off into traffic to a road rage incident. How'd this spiral? Well, you were triggered. I don't like that word. I think it's overused, but that's what it is. You're triggered, and then you have this belief system happen, and then you have an action come out of it. And that's the piece. If I can figure out what's the triggering and the belief attached to it, I can respond so much clearer because I can kind of pull back the veil. We live in a society that we are a triggered society. Everybody's triggered for everything, right? Highly offended society. Well, everybody's getting triggered, but nobody's asking why. Why does that bother me? Nobody asks the why. If I can pull that back, then I'll go, oh. And unfortunately, yeah, it might be. In 7th grade, X happened. You're like, okay. But if you never address that, then it's going to show its ugly head at some point. But then that introspection happens. But a lot of times, it's not until somebody goes, dude, what's up with you? Nothing. I'm fine. Because you don't even know what's going on.
100%.
It's not until somebody kind of calls you on the carpet. It's like this Mac carrier recently talking about the example of the guys lowering their buddy through the hole in the roof to see Jesus. And do we have those people that are willing to carry our mask, that are willing to talk to us, willing to say, there's smoke coming from your house. Is your house on fire? No, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's like good, great, fine, and okay are the only emotions the guys have. I'm like, those are not the 4 emotions that you have. There's a lot more emotions than that.
The other piece of this, though, is also developing the maturity to receive that. And because I think when I was younger, like younger meaning like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have that type of feedback from other people, whether it was from my wife, my best friend, or a counselor that I trusted, I would have immediately been defensive. So it's like, it doesn't work without your participation. Like it doesn't work without the maturity to be able to receive those things, and then to be able to not immediately go into defending yourself, your actions, your choices, your feelings, all that stuff. And you know what, man? I think a bunch of dudes might be listening to this. And by the way, this conversation is one of the most important conversations that we could have on the podcast today. It's and I'll tell you why in a minute, but it's not sexy. Like this, we could have stayed on the topic of politics and we would have got just blown this thing off the charts, man. None of this stuff is sexy, but what most people don't understand is how much these things that we're talking about right now are hindering your ability to actually be who you were created to be. Like fulfill your purpose in life that you've been called to. These things they hindered me for years and years and years and years. And when I finally got to the point that I could throw off some of these things, that I could unpack some of these things, all of a sudden it opened up my ability to just really be me, man. Mm-hmm. Like really thrive. You need to understand how if you haven't experienced this, you probably don't understand how important it is.
Because it's really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it takes a long time. It's not like a decision that you can make today and then do it perfectly tomorrow.
The way that I look at being able to deal with your crap now so it doesn't show up tomorrow is, you ever been in a really long race and your stomach turn? You have. Yeah. You've known this. But for all the listeners out there, if you ever been in a really long race and your stomach starts to turn, what's the last thing you want to do? Take in nutrition. The last thing you want to do. But what do you know 100% of the time is going to happen if you refuse to eat and drink?
You're going to go down hard, yeah.
But that's the last thing you want to do. I don't want to take in nutrition. I don't want to take in hydration. I don't want to stop and deal with myself. I feel terrible. Well, I can 100% tell you that if you don't stop and do the thing that you don't want to do, a worse thing is coming. 100% of the time. And it's not until you see it rear its ugly head. I jokingly say the life lessons, they come back around. If you didn't learn it the first time, you're going to get an opportunity to learn it again. And if I'm truly desiring to love the people around me well, then I want to deal with this crap. But if I don't do it now, it's going to come back. So I might as well freaking drag stuff into the light. And the problem, and the thing that scares me is there's so many things that I still haven't even broached yet that the Lord wants to work on my heart. Just yesterday in counseling, when you're stopping and you're asking, you're like, Lord, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And you get this block. You're going, well, I'm not hearing anything. Have you ever actually even asked the question like, Lord, what's blocking me? What in my life, what in my soul, what in my spirit, what in my past am I not either wanting to give up? Because the Lord's not going to call you into something that you're just not going to do. Lord, give me the strength to do X. But Lord, I'm not going to do X. Lord, give me the ability to do Y. Yeah, but I'm probably not actually going to do that. Give me a lot of money to give to X organization. I'm probably not going to give to that organization. Well, the Lord's like, I'm not going to answer that. If we're not prepared, like you said, if we're not willing and prepared to do the work, then it's probably not a whole lot's going to happen. And it's really uncomfortable. And that's okay. But there's a lot of healing on the backside. And until people experience the healing, success breeds motivation, not the other way around. Success breeds motivation. Motivation might get you off the couch. When something starts to get hard, motivation is gone. Purpose is what drives you. But once you start feeling success, then you're going to probably do it again. And success is healing.
You make that statement because you have the proper definition of hard. Like you make the statement that motivation is going to wane when something gets hard. You have to define what is hard, right? You have the proper understanding of hard. Hard is the turning, like this turning point or this line that you cross when it is not what you wanted it to be. It is not what you imagined it to be. It's not the level of pain that you were willing to endure.
Correct.
And when you have the proper definition of hard, you look at these running races that I've done, none of them were hard. None of them fit that definition. Really, I mean, honestly, I was willing to experience the level of pain that I experienced for the duration of that running race. I mean, that like I had I had that all everything I felt was part of my expectation. So think about that when we talk about what's hard and what's not, because motivation is enough to take you through and across the finish line of a long running race, as long as it stays within the boundaries of your willingness and expectation to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that anything that we willingly do in terms of our own personal fitness endeavors and challenges could truly fit into the category of hard, because we're not forced to keep going by any outside stimulus. It's almost like only things that happen to us outside the boundaries of our ability to control it, and we have to endure it in order to just stay alive. Like just to, yeah. It's almost like those things, we're going extreme here, but it's almost like those things can only fit into the category of this type of hard that we're talking about.
Yeah. The difference between a long running race versus the long suffering of a situation that you don't have control over, a terminal disease, mindset stuff, situations that you do not ever know if they'll get better. That is a reframe of going, I can be uncomfortable. A few hours, a few days. I'm going to sleep in my bed eventually. I might get out of this thing in the hospital. Great. Got an IV, got a bed. But when you start dealing with things that you don't know if there's going to be an end, you don't know how the end is going to wrap up. You don't know if you have what it takes to get to the end without freaking losing it. That's long suffering. Long obedience in the same direction. It's like that piece of day in, day out. You emotionally get kicked in the face and go, can I do it again? What happens when you just don't feel like you got any more in you? Can you do it the next day? That's hard.
Yeah.
That's when hard happens.
Yeah.
There's one thing at the gym that we talk about is like, man, this workout was painful. I said, time out. This was uncomfortable. This workout was uncomfortable. It was really uncomfortable. I'd argue it wasn't hard. Unless you have some type of injury, it wasn't painful. It was really uncomfortable, and that's okay. One thing I love about the gym is that it gives us an opportunity to be uncomfortable. And I think everybody has a quit muscle. And if you don't ever train your quit muscle, it won't ever get any stronger. You think you're just going to show up on the day that things truly get hard and you're going to stay in and do the hard stuff, and you've not trained that. It's in for a rude awakening. It's this whole idea of toughening, this biblical manhood, and I feel like we're in a pandemic of guys. This is a whole different conversation. But being in a pandemic of guys and either shirking responsibilities or softening to the point that they're not doing what they're called to be doing, exercise is just a really short, tangible way to continue to sharpen the blade just a little bit. And I'm not saying you have to be a stud, but I can tell a lot about the character of somebody if they're willing to be a little uncomfortable for 30 minutes inside the gym, so that when truly things get hard, that's not the first time they've had to make a decision of going, well, this kind of sucks. I'm not going to give up. Just stay in it.
Yep.
Be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's how it translates. I agree. I've seen that happen in my life for sure. So it is valuable. There's a tremendous amount of value to it. Just don't lie to yourself about whatever it is you're choosing to do, and making a bigger deal out of it than what it like. If you are testing yourself, you are doing the minimum of what you ought to be doing. That's what everyone should be doing. All right, let's take a break. Look, guys, I truly believe that Mountain Tough is the most valuable resource for people who know they need to get their butts in shape, or for athletes who are ready to take their fitness to the next level. We waste a lot of time working out, not doing the right things, and this Mountain Tough app is going to help clear all of that up for you guys. Make sure that you are following a program that's tailored to you and your goals. It's going to just give you everything that you need on a daily basis in order to dial your fitness in. This Mountain Tough app has different programming for all different levels of fitness, whether you're a beginner, whether you're intermediate and you're just looking to go to the next level, and even for elite level athletes, there's going to be programming in here specifically for them that's going to push them really, really hard. So there's tons of stuff in here. Everything from at-home and gym programs. There's programs that you can follow in the Mountain Tough app that don't require a ton of equipment, some that are heavy on equipment if you're going to work out in the gym. It has a component in the app that is groundbreaking mental toughness training, because mindset is a huge part of being able to push and get the most out of your time when you're working out. This Mountain Tough is actually a Christian-rooted company, all right? I know the founder of this company, Dustin, and he is very passionate about his faith in Christ. That means a lot to me. So part of this app, there is a daily guided prayer for you guys, biometrical form coaching, stretching, mobility, nutrition guidance on the app, challenge workouts, and you also have access to a global Mountain Tough community through membership on the app here. So it's an unbelievable resource, and I'm so thankful that Mountain Tough has created this, because I truly believe in the impact that is being made and can be made through this type of work and this type of resource on the Mountain Tough app. Mountain Tough is offering listeners of the 3 of 7 podcast a pretty dang good offer. If you'll enter code 3 of 7 on the monthly plan, you will receive your first month free after your 14-day trial. So that's 6 weeks free to figure out how to use this app, to make sure that it's for you. And I'm telling you, you're going to find something in here that's going to be very beneficial, probably more than just one thing. So that's 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical, fitness, and mental training app that is on the market today. And again, it's really, really important to me that this is a company who has Christian roots, and the fact that they add this prayer in here and the mental toughness aspect and all the different components that you guys need to be engaging in to stay healthy, to grow, and to get after it, whatever your next challenge is, whether it's a hunt or an ultra marathon, or if you just want to be fit and healthy so that you can, give the most that you can possibly give to the people around you who matter, like your family and your kids and your teams at work. This is going to be a great place to go to help guide you through that journey, man. Check them out. The website is MTNTOUGH.com, and all of the information for this, including a promo link, a clickable link, will be in the description of this episode. So thank you, Mountain Tough, for everything that you're doing for the community that you've built, and hopefully you guys go and check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I'll be straight up with you. One of the things that I struggle with most, especially in business, is organization, all right? And that's what I'm going to tell you today about SureSend. This is a one-stop portal right here that's going to help you with your customer relationship management, all right? It's built specifically for real estate agencies and real estate agent teams to be able to just have everything in one place that helps them manage their customer relationships. But as I look at this thing, I'm like, well, daggone, why couldn't we use this? And I don't see any reason why we couldn't. It's got everything, again, in this one portal right here. There's no plugins, no crazy marketing popping up all over your screen. It's got your dashboard, your tasks, your people, your calendar, your newsletters on here, reporting, contracts, call lists. I mean, everything that you could possibly think of that you need to keep up with as a business owner or as a real estate agent. I mean, I can't see how this isn't going to make you 10 times more efficient than you probably already are. Another thing that I love about it, it has a tab in it called Win the Day. My buddy Andy Frisella would love that. This tab right here actually allows your team to set goals that you guys want to achieve, and then it allows you guys to compete against each other in order to achieve those goals. I think it's a really, really cool idea. There's also a built-in referral network so that you can get recommended or recommend other professionals on the platform. And everything, again, is live from day one. Marketing, automation, communications, tracking. Like I said, no plugins, consultants, or year-long contracts. This is on a month-to-month basis also. There are no hidden fees. You can give it a shot and try it out at SureSendDemo.com. I'll attach links to this in the description of this episode. But for me, it seems like a really awesome tool, and they've basically thought through everything that I would think of and some things that I wouldn't think of to help me be a more efficient business owner and teammate. Check it out, SureSendDemo.com. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you guys about American financing today, and hold tight. You might want to hear this, especially if you have some credit card debt. I've had credit card debt before. There was a time back when I was in the military that I had over $10,000 of credit card debt. I'll never forget what that felt like because the interest rates on that debt were 20% or more. And I'll never forget feeling like, how on earth am I ever going to pay this off? Crazy stuff happens in life. Emergencies, the cost of living's going up. Maybe you've gotten yourself in a bind just using these credit cards to pay for your day-to-day expenses. That's where American Financing comes in. They can actually help you get rid of that credit card debt by tapping into your home equity. If you are a homeowner with mortgage rates currently in the 5s, and that's going to replace that huge interest rate that you're paying on those credit cards, all right? So it's a pretty awesome service. On average, American Financing is saving their customers about $800 a month. That's nearly $10,000 a year back into your own pocket. I don't know who wouldn't want to save $10,000 a year, especially when it's coming from money that you're throwing at these high-interest credit card loans that you're never going to see a return on that stuff. It's just disappearing. So this is huge, guys. It only takes about 10 minutes to find out what you can save. There are no upfront costs, fees, and no obligations to talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant. If you check it out now, you could potentially delay 2 mortgage payments. Super easy, super smooth. If you got credit card debt, you should check out American Financing. You can give them a call at 866-886-9262. That's 866-886-9262. Or you can check them out online at americanfinancing.net/3 of 7. All of that will be linked in the description of this episode. I hope this helps one of you guys out. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks, American Financing, for providing awesome service. Enough said. So I just got up to hit the head, and I realized that my legs are going to be extremely sore after
Today.
The squats today.
And the lunges?
Just kind of pitiful, to be honest with you. I mean, I squatted with a 50-pound dumbbell, so we did have a little bit of weight. But it's so, I was actually talking to Jacob about it in the gym today. There's this whole idea around being a hybrid athlete these days. It's a huge thing if you follow any fitness content. It's like the thing that so many people are striving for. Some guys do it well, but very few guys are able to do it well. It's almost like you have to pick one thing or the other. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's like, if I'm going to be good at running, I got to run. If I want to be strong, I got to lift. I got to choose one or the other. Yeah, I can do a little bit of running in there, or if I want to be good at running, maybe I can do a little bit of lifting in there, but I'm never going to be good at anything. So that's why my legs are going to be sore, because I've just been kind of running and turkey hunting here lately, not lifting any weights.
Yeah.
The body's wild, man. Good night. You got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
It doesn't take long at all. I want to get into the second half of our conversation. I want to talk about suffering well, and we kind of, because the first thing I wanted to do was to really define what we mean by suffering, but I think we did that just prior to the break. I mean, I think we defined what that looks like, what it means. I want to hear from you, though. I want to hear more about this most recent challenge that you've been walking through, learning from with your adopted children, because we've kind of touched on that on the surface. But what's the story behind that? Because it sounds like that is, I could be wrong, but it sounds like that is like the number one challenge right now in your life. Is that?
It's the hardest thing we've ever done.
So it's the hardest thing you've ever done.
Oh yeah, nothing comes close.
So take me to this story. Why, first of all, and what has happened, and take me through this story, man.
So in high school, I had a friend who their family adopted a little Chinese girl out of a dumpster. She's put in an orphanage in China. I said, that is awesome. One day I'm going to do that. Which is really odd to be a kid in high school telling your buddies, like, I think I'm going to adopt one day. And they said, don't you need like a spouse for that? You're like, well, later, not now. So I've always thought that I was going to adopt somehow. I don't know how. Thought it was going to be foreign, and then we wound up going domestic. These two kids are born here in Rome. And we started the process for DFACs and opening our home. It was interesting because I was pretty adamant that I wanted to permanent placement versus temporary placement. And DFACs did not love that at all. They wanted to open your home. They wanted temporary placement, the idea of permanent placement maybe, and I was just unapologetic. I said, permanent. We're not opening our home and giving kids back, and the hearts that you have to have for that is massive. And I didn't want to do that.
Why do you think they wanted, or why do you think they were pushing in that direction?
It's a way faster way to get kids into homes, which makes sense. We did not want to do that. And we were unapologetic about it. Our home was open for 3 years, not a single placement. So then through a series of events, Allison knew somebody who knew somebody, and they had a young girl in her home. And we found out about that. And then we started doing respite care for them. And then the TPR, which is termination of parental rights, happened for her family. And her mom was pregnant with her brother. So about the time, starts to get fuzzy a little bit. She was 2.5. We would have been her fourth home. So already at 2.5, we would have been her fourth home. And then her brother was delivered through C-section at the hospital. Mom unplugged herself, walked out of the hospital, said, "You can't leave." She's like, "I'm leaving. You have to sign him over." So he has never met his biological mom, and he went home with his sister's foster family. And we got to see him, which was really cool. He got to see him on the way home from the hospital. So we met him like 2 days after he was born. So he's my son now. So I've known him his entire life. So that we started transitioning over for permanent placement out of their previous foster family's home to our home. And that happened probably about 4 years ago. So they were permanently in our home a month before he turned 1. He just turned 5. So 4 years. So 4.5 years been in the process. One thing that's interesting about that is how a lot of introspection through this process to watch the brokenness of the world and the way that God designed family units to be. If you take or fracture God's original intent, the only thing that you're going to get is chaos. Kids should be with their parents. And if they are not, there will be hell to pay. And essentially, that's what we have seen. So you have a little girl who does not trust adults. I would say the only secure attachment that she has was her previous foster mom and father, but previous foster mom, they have a special relationship. They are freaking gold. Like you talk about special people the Lord brought to this earth to do hard things. It's them. When she came to our home, she did not have attachment with us. She had a very bristly personality. She's like, I don't trust you.
At 2.5?
At 2.5 years old. We were her fourth home. So then you get into, if you have a child who does not have attachment, and attachment is, attachment, the easiest way is like, is there shared affection and is there trust? Am I safe here? Are you going to take care of me? Are you for me? Happens at such a young, because I was like, well, does all this really happen when they're like 6 months old? Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that now.
Wow. It's crazy because you don't even remember any of that.
None of it.
Apparently.
None of it.
I don't anyway.
No, it's What's crazy is how much, and there's all these different stages up until 18 months, up till 7 years. What happens by the time so there's these big numbers, right? So you want secure attachment by this point. You want permanent placement by this point. If they're outside of this point, statistically, this is going to happen. So I can give you a bunch of statistics, right or wrong, right? Statistics, you can make them all up. But there's a trend. So being able to try to start building secure attachment with her was quite challenging because the ability for her to have what we would call meltdowns were just hard to describe. Like to experience just rage out of a 2.5-year-old little girl was just something that I didn't know how to process. Like you have temper tantrums where the kids in the cereal aisle, they didn't get their Cheerios and they're going to throw a little temper tantrum. Yeah, but are they going to try to like claw your eyes out? Are they going to try to throw a chair through the window? Are they going to try to hurt you and all your other kids? Are they going to try to hurt mama? Are they going to, they don't know. They went brainstem, fight, flight, or freeze, fighting. She gonna fight. There's no fleeing. It is fight. Try to kick your window out, try to get out of the situation anyway. So some of our meltdowns would be, probably the longest one is 2 or 3 hours. You seen somebody have a temper tantrum for 2 hours? It's unreal. And this whole piece of going, how do you love and try to attach to a child who all they want is felt safety? All they want is felt safety. And be able to enter into a world in a safe enough way to be able to build that trust. She's 7 now. Like, and she's had the best last 4 days than I think that we've had in the history of having her. Like it is, like even when she came into our home, the previous foster, it's like she can have her moments and they will be tough. And she was not lying. She said, there'll be days that you wish that you never did this. And then you own those feelings of going, how hard this is. Because then you get into, Lord, am I in trouble? Like, is this punitive? We try to do something in your name to be obedient. And I guess I was just expecting it to be easier. And it wasn't. It was way harder than I ever expected. I did not know the cost that it would have on our family.
It's a great example of what we were talking about prior to the break.
Yeah.
Like it crossed that line.
Vaulted well past the line. Vaulted. So then Allison and I, and thankfully Allison and I have always been on the same page, which has been really, really good. But you start talking to people that enter this foster adoptive world and you start entering into the mess of a child that they cannot process. They do not know. Well, and you take that kid and you make them 30 and they haven't processed through things. And we encounter those people all the time. And we're real dismissive with their struggles. Well, if you had to look back and seen what they were in a little kid, there'd be a ton more empathy. Well, the issue is, and here's where the challenging part comes from, is you enter this thing called compassion fatigue. It's called block care. And you have a child that is just chaos on chaos inside your home. You're like, am I doing this wrong? I'm trying to show up, and this is just hard every day. Like there's significant challenges at school. There's behavior-based issues. There's shame when you can't go out in public. Like can't take them places. Church doesn't work very well. Like and you're trying to apologize all the time because I had the perfect life. Like my wife and I were cookie cutter. My 2 little girls, they're squared away. They came out high compliance, super smart. I thought that was normal. Thought I was a good parent. No, they came out that way. The Lord made them that way. Until you start entering into what trauma looks like, did I really start to understand that this is way, way more about me than about them. So over the last 4 years, it has been just a roller coaster of going, I'm doing this wrong. I'm not fit for this. Lord, you made a mistake. Are we in trouble? Are these kids going to be okay? If they would have been in a different home, they'd be better. We just desired peace. I'm telling you, I wanted peace in my home more than sleep, more than food. I loved being at the gym because the gym wasn't chaos when I didn't want to go home. And early on, I took on a little bit of a savior mentality that really, really cost me. Is when she would be at her hardest moments, I just tried to separate her from the rest of the family. So I'd try to get so that Allison wouldn't experience some of the harder moments. And the problem is the cycle starts to run of going, I have to be at my absolute best when she's at her absolute worst. And the way that I would equate that is when she would come around and always at the end, you could see her body just do this adrenaline dump and she'd want to be held. It's like, I said, I knew it was over. I said, are you ready for a hug? She's like, yep. And she would cry because she never cried. She would cry and she would just hug me and immediately fall asleep. And it's like to have a body be able to process that at 2 or 3, 4 years old. And then on the back end, you have this flood of emotions, negative, despair, hopelessness, frustration, anger, like all of these negative emotions. And you'd be hung over the next day of going, what is going on? And to be able to start to process through that, like I would say I'd go through a season that I was very internally focused. How's this affecting me? How uncomfortable is it for me? Lord, you made a mistake. I get up in the morning to pursue the Lord, get in the word, try to pray, and then not show up very well. And I'm like, all this is for nothing. I get up, spend an hour and a half every morning, get up at 4 a.m. I am disciplined. I am doing the thing, second my Bible shuts, and the first thing I feel is frustration. I said, it's not taken, Lord. It's just not taken. You should have picked somebody else. A narrative starts, and Satan's like, that's where I want you to be. Let's just keep ruminating on that. Because in the moment, what would happen is then when she would get to a good place, I would get to a bad place. Cycle begins. So then I'm at a bad place when she's at the good place, and we're always on the other end of the merry-go-round. And so she doesn't feel safety. And then I struggle with affection in those hardest moments. And then I was like, just freaking try to keep loving her the best that you can. Just keep trying to show up. Well, you keep showing up. It's the easiest way that I can say is like, I want you to be a friend with that guy, but every time you talk to that guy, he's going to punch you in the face. Every time. But I need you to be friends with him. What are you going to do on day 4?
More than likely get tired of getting punched in the face and say, no, we're not going to be able to be friends. Yeah.
But what if that's your kid and you're the dad? That's the
yeah, you're forced into it. Like,
yeah. And then there's just so much shame, so much guilt. Thought like, I've got to be better than this. I got to show up better than this. I had these expectations. I wanted to quote unquote fix her. There's no fixing her. The Lord is the only one who can fix hearts. My job is to be able, and I'm talking about a lot of the things I'm saying right now has been in the last few months. Give her the freedom to be whoever she is. And that's really challenging for me because I'm a maximizer. If we can fix something, if we can adjust X and do Y, and I want you to be a contributing member of society. And the Lord's like, I never called you to make her a contributing member of society. I called you to be a safe space and love on her. Well, I was like, if we can fix this and we can do this, and if she's at a bad place, she has a little bit of a cranky attitude, and that's kind of the way she shows up. And I'm like, we can teach life lessons, and she's not about life lessons. Because if you cannot receive safe feelings, a warm environment, affection, attachment, no other life lesson is going to count. And that was maddening to me because I wanted to do a traditional form of parenting. Traditional form of parenting is if X happens, you want to teach through it. You want to see the life lesson from it. You want to hold them to a standard. There are no standards. My brain has a really hard time with there's no standards. But I'm going to tell you that as the Lord has pried my grip off the control of this situation, if I give her the freedom to be her, and there's some things, if it's safety and if it's character. So you can't hurt anybody in the house. That's now transition. She doesn't do that anymore, but her little brothers are Sour Patch Kids. So he will go after people. And lying, stealing, like that kind of stuff. We are going to address those. But if it's pretty much anything else, we're just going to let it slide and it's going to bother me. And then we're just going to show up, pick up pieces. And I think a lot of it is you turn around and you compare. And I think that's for a long time, the previous foster family, that was truly her attachment point. Like her little subconscious body was like, that was mom. I got taken out of mom's house to come to this house. I think that's transition, but they have a very special relationship. And I always felt like I was failing compared to that one. So if I'm showing up, doing the best I can, only feeling like I'm failing at everything that I'm trying to do with the intent, and then watching that, I'm like that's where that would have been a better play. The Lord's like, everything that's happening right now is okay. But then I compare myself to how cool and how loving and how affectionate and how seemingly nothing bothers. And she's not perfect. She's awesome. She's not perfect. But I would watch that relationship and just, it's almost this weird jealousy of going, I don't have that. But then if you're tasked, back to peeling potatoes, right? If you're tasked to peel potatoes, you might be called to it for a reason and you don't know, but I don't want to do this. I'm looking at everybody else and they seem to be doing so much better than me. Stop. That's you comparing, looking around and you looking down, but you have yet to look up. I've yet to look up. Now I'm starting to look up for the original intent. The whole thing was me trying to be obedient to the Lord. I tried to be obedient to the Lord. And the second I said yes, I was on my own. I said, I got this. That's a real dangerous comment for a guy to say, I got this. You don't got this. I think that's what I'm wrestling through right now. So that's not the doctor's appointments and the medication and the school and the resources and the little man got kicked out of 3 schools last year. Well, then you get to the point, I'm like, I'm hoping the school doesn't call us today. It's like, we're real close to, this will be school number 4. Then where does that put us? I thought we were just going to bring something in, expectation be X, things were going to happen, it's going to be a little challenging, love was going to fix all you need is love, right? That's what the Beatles say. It's not true. So but it really is, if people get into a suffering situation, it's so easy to start navel gazing. How's it affecting me? How's it affecting my lifestyle? How's it affecting? And it wasn't until I'm like, Lord, we can't keep doing this the way that we're doing this. I'm not serving them well. And this certainly is not serving you well. And if I keep focusing on me, it's only going to be negative. Because really the whole intent is it's not about you at all. It's about them. Back to Joby Martin, he talks about like what love is. And love, it comes at a great cost to yourself, especially as a guy. Are we serving people at a great personal cost? There's a Bible verse that we're going through, a book that he wrote called Stand Firm and Act Like Men. And there's a big movement for it right now, but it's in the last chapter of 1 Corinthians 13 and 14. 1 Corinthians 16, 13, 14, and it goes, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. I'm okay with all this. What's the very last statement? Let everything you do be done in love. You're like, oh, crap. Everything? Am I doing everything out of love? Because what is love? Love is serving others at a great personal cost for yourself. Am I willing to do things at a great personal cost for myself? I'm willing to do things until it's uncomfortable. willing to do things until it starts costing a little too much. A lot of times when you're thrust into things that were no choice of your own, or how hard something was, or how bad something got, and your vote is off the table, it's going to come at a great personal cost.
So the purest representation of love you would categorize as self-sacrifice.
Jesus on the cross.
In the throes of this, like when it vaulted past the point of your expectations, what or who kept you from walking away from this? Maybe it was on many occasions. Maybe it's many different things, but
it's a great question. I don't have a whole lot of quit in me, so a little bit of pride. But it really was. I'm like, if I quit, then two things were happening. Really, I was quitting on them, and I didn't want to do that. I'm not quitting on them. They're my kids. And the other thing is, I knew that I was being disobedient. It was straight up, I want out. Screw all this. I'm going to take it to the house. And really, there were moments early on that it was so hard. And one thing that I'm kind of sensitive to, and this is a narrative thing, and sometimes positive, sometimes it's accurate. I mean, sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's accurate. What's my tolerance for discomfort? Because if I feel things really deeply, then I will assess how hard something is in the moment and think the world is ending. I've been in the middle of some small races, not big ones, small ones. I'm like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. I'm like, no, it's not. You're pedaling, you're not cramping, sun is shining. You just poop your pants attitude. Stop it. Well, then that's a small example, because in the middle of this one, this, way harder, but because Alice and I were like, did we do the right thing? This is bad. It's like, well, we're still in it. Like, this isn't going to get easier. There might be some healing that comes out of it, and we don't know the outcome. But honestly, I think if I were going to sum up, I think I would have been disobedient to the Lord, and the Lord's not done yet. The story's not over. Even though sometimes it was really, really challenging. Still is. We're still in the middle of it. So
yeah. So faithfulness, honoring your commitment, being brutally honest with yourself, and acknowledging that you are being disobedient. What about other people? How have they played into this journey? In terms of your wife, your two biological daughters who are older.
My girls have been absolute freaking studs during this process. I mean, it's been unreal. I have two, and they are massively different. I have one who's type A, very, very responsible, not super loving, but will take care of the kids. They will get fed and nourished and bathed and put down and helped and all the stuff. Not a whole lot of hugs. And then I have one, it seemed like she was put on this earth to take care of people in need. As empathetic, as caring. Early on, we're like, she's the kid whisperer. And she is the one, she's the first person my daughter goes, okay, that's a safe person all the time. Doesn't mean she didn't get mad at her, but unreal empathy and patience. Unreal, unmatched. So there's been days that she has absolutely told Allison, she's like, we're going to be okay. This is an 11-year-old telling us this. We're going to be okay.
Dang, man.
I'm like, this is, the Lord has wired you different. And then we could not have survived if it wasn't for the previous foster parents. because they still have a massive, we joke, not jokingly, but it would be a very grandparent role, even though they're not like, they're a little older than us. I'll never say that they're grandparents, but that's that kind of relationship. But the respite that we have from them, if they are for us, they are for them. To have somebody in your corner that thick or thin, brutally honest. The thing that I think is so interesting is we get no guilt or shame from them in the hardest moments. Because the other thing is when you have negative emotions about a hard experience, you gotta be real careful who you say those things to. Like, this is really, 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 really hard, and I feel really, really, really bad about it. Well, y'all are such good people for doing that. I'm like, not the way we're doing it, not the way I feel about it. I jokingly heard a speaker who was doing an adoptive conference thing, and he get up there, and he's kind of a comedian, but he said people would be like, I admire what you've done. You're doing a really good thing. And he's like, not the way I'm doing it. I was like, that's us. That's us in a nutshell. We were freaking trying to survive. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't trade it. It is the hardest thing I've ever done. I wouldn't trade it because just the experience that the Lord has worked on my heart. But the thing was, would I knowingly jump in the furnace again? I don't know. It's really painful.
Yeah, it might be one of those things that you go through one time.
Would you knowingly want to go back to Budge right now?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't count. You're like,
because,
bring it on.
Because there again, it's a different, this is different.
Yeah.
Like, I think that we ought to paint the line.
Yeah.
Between the two things.
Yeah. I liked how quickly you answered that. But it's just knowingly jumping in a furnace, and I never thought it'd get this hot. I never thought the furnace would get this hot.
What about marriage? Like, how have you prioritized your wife? How has, like, you would think going through something like this, you would be teetering on the edge of either a poor relationship with your wife or a potential divorce. I mean, this is huge. A huge disturbance. Like, is that even a thing? Have you been able to prioritize your wife, or have you guys had the conversation like, hey, this is the way it's going to be for a while, or like?
This is the only thing that's going to sound so trite. The Lord has protected our relationship that we are have been in our currently. We've had much, much harder seasons of our marriage before this. Not this.
It's like, what?
It doesn't make any sense. I try to do a really good job to love and support her, protect her, jump on the sword when things get hard for her. We don't disagree with how we parent the kids. We don't disagree about what we think we should do next. I really do think the Lord has put some type of protection and veil on our marriage, just the marriage piece, on our marriage to go, I'm going to take care of this thing so this isn't a stressor. But I tell Allison all the time, this should have absolutely blown up everything in our life. Peace in our home it's coming. It's better right now this week. I'm talking about in weeks and days. It's better right now this week. But our marriage seems to have not been affected. I can't explain that though. Like, I think the Lord put a veil over it and like, I'm going to take care of this so y'all don't have to worry about that. My fitness went freaking into the pot early on. Like this weird sense of like when you feel emotionally hungover and drained every day, it's so hard to engage everybody else in life. So that was early on. That was really challenging. But our marriage, I can't explain it.
Now, hold on a minute. What are some of the harder things that you guys have been through as husband and wife other than this scenario?
Oh, stupid. And here's the caveat. Everything that goes wrong in our marriage is my fault. Just default. It's the safest way to say it. I was like, When I was younger, I jokingly say, I told somebody yesterday, I said, marriage is awesome. But I tricked my wife to marry me, and she had to live with her bad decisions the first 10 years of our marriage. But just being selfish and being, one of the things was I did this multi-level marketing thing years and years and years ago. Golly, when was that? That was a long time ago. But I was holding this little mixer at my house, and both girls were just born. And she had to leave the house with my 3-year-old and my 2-month-old. I was like, well, you can come to the mixer. My buddy's still laughing at me about that. I said, yeah, that was real bad. And then I called her a boat anchor because she was holding me back. Don't ever call your wife a boat anchor. That's for everybody out there. That's a bad play.
I can almost top you on that. About 3 weeks ago, I called my wife an old hag.
Okay, yeah, see? And then later you're like, I'm surprised I'm still married. So that's when Glenn and Glenn's late wife, Laura, goes, we probably need to go out to eat with y'all. Yeah, don't call your wife a boat anchor. It's a big joke now, but it's those kind of seasons of just selfishness. But this one, it really was. I think it was a big enough thing. I'm like, are we freaking doing this? Yep. I said, the only way we're going to survive is arm in arm. We gotta really do this. And the Lord has put just up until now. I don't know. It's changed tomorrow, but up until now, the Lord is I'm going to hold that one faithful. We try to make sure that we spend, do a date evening at the house because we couldn't leave the house for years. I also prioritize. I like to go to bed early because I get up really early every day. So that's been challenging to make sure that I don't prioritize sleep over her. So,
have you wanted to give up work, like give up on the gym, or has that been kind of your safe space? So like
the gym is absolutely my safe space, and the people at the gym. I like people more than fitness. Always have. I love fitness. A little nerd about fitness. But the people, I love people more than the fitness, which means going to the gym that's what I was talking to Allison on the way here. I said, the gym feels real guilty to me right now because it doesn't feel like work. I feel like work should be laborious and boring and not fun. And I said, well, none of that's scripturally backed. Like, we're called to bring order to chaos and work and keep the garden, and supposed to protect and supposed to cultivate. That's what I like doing at the gym. During all of this, tried to scale another company. We brought on another company. So the gym has grown massively. I'd say our gym has doubled in size since bringing the kids on. So gym hasn't been easier, so to speak, but finding my sweet spot. And I guess the easiest way to explain that is I'm in a season right now of making sure that I pay very, very close attention to what brings stress to my life, because I'm wound pretty tightly. So I'm already so stressed at home, or was. I can start saying the word was, but it's still in seasons just real hard at home. And I don't also want it to be real hard at work too. So
paying attention to other things that cause stress in your life. I mean, what does that look like? And
so the easiest tangible example is there was a company that we were trying to scale, which is a great company, but I was operating in a position that I wasn't necessarily super skilled at, as far as it wasn't necessarily in something that brought life to me, even though it was a good thing. I did not realize how much stress trying to scale another company separate from the company that I'm already working in, and that taking a lot of mental bandwidth for what the future would be like for that, and trying to navigate everything at home proved to be a lot. And and that's the other thing that I constantly battle is one of my fears is being a one talent guy. And the one talent guy is, and back to what we first talked about when this conversation started, is What if the Lord goes, I've called you to one or two things, and be really good at those one or two things, and I'm going to be faithful with that. But Lord, I want to be good at 5 things. I want to impact people. I want to increase my impact. I want to take over the world. Lord's like, I get that. I understand that. I put that in you. Take care of what's in front of you. It's whole Gideon mindset. It's like, take care of the wall that's in front of you first. So just rebuild this wall right now. This is the most important thing. Take care of this, and then trust me for the future. I'm getting to the point now that that's okay. But the aspirational piece of not wanting to give up is I want to freaking conquer the world. All of that fear of mine is like, well, you're not capable of conquering the world. And that's a massive fear that I think about a lot, is going, Lord, am I a one talent guy? And because that's a big fear of mine, or something that I think about a lot. And my counselor says, what if that's the case? What if you are, quote unquote, your term, one talent guy? And I'm not talking about, and I'm using it a little out of context, I'm not talking about take your talent and burying it in the dirt. I'm talking about, like, the Lord's given you one or two things. Be really good at those one or two things and be faithful with those things, and be content that you've been faithful to the Lord and the Lord is happy with you. Is that okay? And honestly, sometimes I'm like, no, it's not okay. I want to be 5 talents. I was like, I don't want you to be 5 talents. You're not called to 5 talents. Be faithful with the things that I've given you. And his question is, are you being faithful currently with the things that I'm giving you to the best of your ability? It's like, well, okay. Sorry, Lord. That kind of deal. So, because I want to be more than one talent guy.
I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of, when we, just to kind of sum this up, talking about suffering well, like, it sounds like there's a lot of obedience in that, in like the answer to that. Like, what does that actually tangibly look like? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of obedience in that, a lot of faithfulness, like faith in the Lord, you know, like you keep referencing the Lord, and like I keep thinking of the word faithfulness, like that's because that's what you're doing. Like you're trusting in the Lord for something that you can't really see or put your hands on yet. Also, suffering well doesn't seem like it's going to make a great highlight reel on Instagram. Because this mess sounds rough, son.
We're in it.
I mean, but at the same time, like you sharing your story about what you have been going through, at the same time, it's tremendously encouraging to me because of what I'm about to experience. And thinking that the probability that it's going to be as hard as what my friend Jeff and his wife Allison and his family has been going through. All this behind the scenes, by the way, I didn't know any of this. I mean, you hear little things here and there, but you don't advertise this. It's extremely encouraging because the probability of what I'm about to experience is that it will probably not even be on the same scale. And so it's great for me to hear your story just for contrast. It could, maybe it will be. But maybe it will be as hard. Who knows? Like you said, we cannot control the story or the narrative or the life of this new human. I think maybe we can have impact, but we definitely don't have control over it. So I can think the probability is it won't be as difficult, which is like, I am like, thank you, Lord. But then at the same time, if it is as difficult, it's good to know I have a friend who's been there, like who I can talk to, who I can learn from, which we've done here in this conversation today. So, man, I just appreciate you sharing that story, dude, and being so honest about that. Yeah, because it definitely impacts me.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It's an uncomfortable thing to think about suffering in a context where the outcome is unknown, the timeline is unknown, and where everything in your body wants to make it selfish. And fight against this selfishness or the self-centered, the me-centric way of going this. And the Lord has kindly said this part. This is actually from the Spirit. It goes, it's not about you. It's not about you. I don't want to make the sun revolves around me. It's not about you. I'm going to use you. I'm going to sharpen you. And sharpening sucks. I don't like a bit of it. But these kids are important, and and honestly, their souls, they hang in the balance. So freaking, what am I going to do? Freaking walk away? Well, I'm going to do that.
Mm. Dang, it's good, man. All right. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I hope
That's
everybody
a lot
has
to chew on.
a wonderful day
For all the listeners, man.
Yeah,
For
but it's
me,
good. It's
yeah.
just to challenge people, to challenge myself. Freaking, when things get icky, pull it into the light. Let's get behind it. What's actually happening? Because the Lord has some really good stuff in store, and you have to believe that to keep moving forward. But freaking just get my hands pried off of what I think the expectation or outcome is going to be.
Yeah, that's hard. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio, please follow the podcast on whatever app you're using. It helps us out tremendously. And drop a comment, man. Let us know what was most impactful about the conversation to you. We love to hear from you guys and your feedback of how these conversations hopefully make you think or make a difference in your life. We love you guys. Enough said.